Good afternoon. Ito ang aming report ng Group 3. Iluminados, Presidente, Luis Andre Relos, Suplente, Jimwell Justiniano, Sekretaryo, Robert Jim Malabayabas, Jerby Morong, J. Ivan Martinez, Aris Saclet, Ken Rasden Manlisis, Willard Letriro. The writing of the novel. Influenced by Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin, Jose Rizal planned to publish a book that would reveal the ills of Spanish colonized Philippine society. Hence, in a meeting of Filipinos in Madrid, the Paterno residents in January 1884, Rizal suggested the creation of the book. The proposal that all them would contribute papers on the various facets of life in the Philippines was unanimously approved by those present at the reunion, among whom were the Paternos, Pedro Maximino and Antonio, Graciano Lopez, Jaina, Valentin Ventura, Eduardo Delete, Evaristo Aguirre, and Julio Lorente. Si Jose Rizal ay nung nabasa niyang yung librong Uncle Tom's Cabin na gawa ni Harriet Beecher Stowe, nakita niya na pareho ang sitwasyon sa Pilipinas at ang mga Pilipino ay nasa ilalim ng pananakop ng mga Kastila, at gusto ni Rizal na mawa ng aklat para sa Pilipino at magbigay katotohanan para sa pagbabago ng mga Pilipino. Kaya nagpulong sila sa Madrid sa tirahan ng Paterno noong January 1884 at nagsuggest si Rizal na gagawa siya ng libro at mag-aambaga ng mga papeles tungkol sa iba't ibang detalye ng buhay ng Pilipinas. At nagkasundo silang lahat, sila Padre Maximino, Antonio, Graciano Lopez Jaina, Valentin Ventura, Eduardo Delete, si Aguirre at Julio Lorente. The plan nonetheless did not materialize my proposal on the book. Rizal explained in his letter dated January 2, 1884 was unanimously approved, but afterwards difficulties and objections were raised, which seemed to me rather odd, and a number of gentlemen stood up and refused to discuss the matter and any further. He noticed that his compatriots were more interested in writing about women instead and spending time in gambling or flirting with Spanish women. Interestingly, those Filipino must have included Rizal's close friends like Jaina and Ventura. Ang plano nila ay hindi natupad at noong January 1884, ipinaliwanag ni Rizal sa kanyang liham ay ang kanyang plano ay approve, at pagkatapos ng kanilang paghihirap, yung ibang kasama nila ay para bang naging hindi interesado sa aklat na gagawin ni Rizal at mas interesado sila sa pagsusugal o pakikipaglandian sa mga babaeng Espanyol. At ang kinalabasan ay kay Rizal napunta ang lahat ng responsibilidad na gawain. Sensing that it was improbable to count on the support of his companions, Rizal started writing alone the novel in Madrid toward at the end of the same year and finished about half of if in the city. Leaving for France in 1885, he had written the third quarter of the novel in Paris in Wilhelmsfeld. He penned the last few chapters of Noddy from April to June 1886. The novel was completed in Berlin, Germany at the end of 1886, and the final draft was ready for publication at the onset of the year 1887. Sinimulan na ni Jose Rizal magsulat sa kanyang nobela sa Madrid sa parehong taon, 1884. At natapos halos kalahati ni Jose Rizal sa kanyang pagsusulat kahit mag-isa siya. Kahit mag-isa si Jose Rizal ay dahil hindi na siya aasa sa kanyang mga kasama. Sa France, sinulat ni Jose Rizal ang kanyang ikatlong quarter ng nobela sa Paris sa Wilhelmsfeld at isulat niya ang kabanata ng Noddy mula Abril hanggang June 1886. Natapos ni Jose Rizal ang nobela sa Berlin, Germany. At yung huling draft ay handa na sa publication simula taong 1887. Summary: Jose Rizal, after reading Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin, noticed the similarities between the Filipinos and the black slaves in America. He thought it was necessary to write a book that would shed light on the situation of the Filipinos under Spanish rule and would push for change. In January 1884, they met in Madrid at Paterno's house to discuss the project. Rizal proposed that he write a book and that each contribute details about life in the Philippines. Among those who agreed were Padre Pedro Maximino, Antonio Graciano Lopez Haina, Valentin Ventur, Eduardo de Lete, Evaristo Aguirre, and Julio Lorente. However, the plan did not materialize. In letter from Rizal on January 2, 1884, he explained that the project had been approved, but many of his companions were no longer interested and had become busy in gambling and associating with Spanish women. As a result, Rizal took full responsibility for the production of the book. Rizal began writing Nolly in Madrid in 1884, completed half of the novel alone. When he moved to Paris, he continued writing the third part of the novel from April to June 1886 in Berlin, Germany. Rizal finished the entire novel, and by 1887, it was ready for publication.
The printing of Noli Me Tangere. Rizal struggled to publish Noli Me Tangere due to lack of funds in 1886 to 1887. Refused to ask financial help from fellow Filipinos in Europe. Dr. Maximo Bayola from Bulacan lent 300 pesos to cover printing costs. Rizal deleted the chapter Elias and Salome to save money. 2,000 copies were printed in Berlin around March 1887. Rizal gave Bayola the first printed copy and galley proofs as thanks. Bayola became known as the savior of the Noli. So the printing of Noli Me Tangere was one of the most challenging moments in Rizal's life. Around 1886 to 1887, he was in Berlin and had already finished writing the novel, but he didn't have enough money to publish it. Despite his struggles, Rizal refused to ask help from fellow Filipinos in Europe because no one had supported him during the writing process. Fortunately, Dr. Maximo Bayola, a friend from Bulacan, arrived in Germany and offered to lend Rizal 300 pesos to fund the printing. To save on cost, Rizal even deleted one chapter of the book titled Elias and Salome. With the money from Bayola, Noli Me Tangere was printed in Berlin. with 2,000 copies produced around March 1887 as a sign of gratitude. Rizal gave Dr. Bayola the very first printed copy of the novel and the original galley proofs. Because, because of his generosity, Dr. Maximo Bayola was remembered in Philippine history as the savior of the Noli.
The synopsis: the main character of Noli Me Tangere, young and wealthy Filipino Crisostomo Ibarra, returned to his country after some years of study in Europe in his honor, Capitan Tiago Santiago de los Santos, threw part of his house in Manila. The gathering was attended by the renowned local personality like Padre Damaso, a patrician priest who had been assigned for many years in Ibarra native town. San Diego Fray Sevilla, the young musician curate of Binondo, Lieutenant Gubibera of the Guardia Civil, and Doña Victoria, wife of fake Spanish physician Tiburcio de Espadaña. His father, Don Rafael Ibarra, was Captain Tiago's friend. Capitan Tiago's supposed daughter of Maria Clara was Crisostomo Ibarra fiancé. During the party, Padre Damaso belittled Ibarra and tried to harm his reputation, but Gentleman Ibarra simply ignored the prize affront. When Ibarra left Capitan Tiago's house, Lieutenant Guevara talked to him much and related the immersible fate his deceased father in San Diego. Guevara explained that Don Rafael was unfairly accused by San Diego curate of being heretic and filibuster because of his non-participation in mass and confusion. One day, Don Rafael saw a Spanish tax collector and weak boy fighting attempt to defend powerless boy. He had accidentally pushed and killed a brutal Spaniard. Don Rafael was just his person and died in cell miserably. Initially buried in the consecrated group, his body was removed from the Catholic cemetery under the order of his enemy. The next day, Crisostomo visited the sweetheart of Maria Clara after a lovely visit his girlfriend. Ibarra went to the San Diego to look for his father's grave. He had known through the grave digger that his father's corpse would agap for the order of curate of transferred to the Chinese cemetery, but since it was raining and the corpse was heavy, the grave digger just threw the Don Rafael corpse into the river. Angry by what he learned, Ibarra suddenly attacked the Padre Salvi when he saw his son Diego Perez Price, but Salvi explained to him that he was Damaso, who was the town parish priest at the time of Don Rafael's death. When Maria Clara and her family arrived in San Diego, Ibarra gave a picnic at the lake. During the picnic, Ibarra had saved the life of Elias, the boatman who was almost killed by the crocodile trap in the fish cage. Later, in the picnic, some members of the Guardia Civil also came pursuing Elias, who had previously assaulted Padre Damaso and their Alperes. But Elias had escaped even before the Guardia Civil arrived later. On Ibarra received a notice that this donation of school in San Diego had been approved by Spanish government. On that day of San Diego town fiesta, Ibarra miraculously in the morning mass officiated by Padre Salve and Padre Damaso. During the mass, Elias silently went near Ibarra and noticed him the plan to kill him at the ceremony of the laying of the school's stone. So during the inauguration, when Ibarra was about to cement the foundation of the schoolhouse, the platform collapsed promptly. The quick Elias had rescued Ibarra, and the man who was paid to harm Ibarra was the one who killed in the incident. Ibarra hosted the banquet later that day. Padre Damaso was to attend the peace public attack the dignity of Ibarra's dead father. The angered host launched and the Elmerad prior and the almost killed Damaso with a knife. Were it not for Maria Clara were interfered just in time. Ibarra was constantly excommunicated with his engagement with Maria Clara was broken, as Damaso pursued the Captain Tiago to prohibit the lady from marrying Ibarra. One day, Ibarra's enemies engineered a helpless attack to the station of the Guardia Civil, making the attackers believe that Ibarra was the brain of uprising after the attack failed. Ibarra was incriminated and arrested. Elias helped Ibarra escape from prison. Before leaving, they discreetly stopped at Capitan Tiago's house. Maria Clara explained that she was blackmailed by Padre Salve to surrender Ibarra's letter, which was used to incriminate him. In exchange for the letter, written by her dead mother, from this she learned that her real father was his Padre Damaso. Ibarra and Elias then took off by the boat, instructing Ibarra to lie down, Elias covering him grass to conceal their presence. As luck, he believed they were spotted by their enemies. Elias, thinking he could outsmart them, jumped into the water. The guards rained to shot at him, and all the while knowing that they were aiming at the wrong man. Badly injured, Elias reached the forest where he found the altar boy Basilio, who was sobbing over the body of his dead mother. Sisa, his mother had previously lost her mind upon learning that her two sons, altar boys Crispin and Basilio, were missing from the convent. Falsely accused for stealing from the convent, Crispin had been tortured and killed by wicked and crooked Christian mayor. Basilio had escaped and the death of his brother had been covered by the salve. Knowing that he would eventually die, Elias instructed Basilio to make funeral prayer and burnish his body to ashes. His dying breath, Elias mumbled the following patriotic words, I shall die without seeing that dawn break upon my homeland. Who shall see it, salute it, do not forget those who have fallen during that night. The novel's plays narrates the Captain Chagos became addicted to poem. Padre Damaso was sent to Provence, was found dead in his bedroom. One morning, the sorrowful Mercury, believing that Ibarra had been shot dead in the river, entered nunnery. Father Salve left the San Diego parish and became the chaplain of nunnery. Some Father Salve, who had been portrayed as being hidden, desired from Maria Clara, regularly molested in the nunnery. Consoled, the poor Christian woman has seen one rainy night at the top of the convent bitterly, weeping and cursing the heaven for the fate has been thrown upon her. Kasi po sa akin sa pagkakaintindi, ito po ay isang parang nobela na isinulat po ni Dr. Rizal upang ibunyag ang mga kasamaan na at pangapi at katiwalaan ng panahon po ng pananakop ng mga Espanyol sa Pilipinas. Ipinakita din po dito ni Rizal na sa akda na tunay at kalagayan ng mga lipunang Pilipino na pinumunuan ng mga mapang-abusong prayle at mga tiwalang opisyal na mga pamahalaan po. Pamamagitan po ng mga tauhan, nilarawan po dito ni Rizal ang iba't ibang uri ng mga mamamayan. Po ni Crisostomo Ibarra, siya po yung kumakatawan sa mga edukado at may malasakit po siya sa bayan na naniniwala sa mga mapayapang Elias naman ay sumisimbolo sa karinawang mamayan po na handang magsakripisyo at lumaban para sa kalayaan. Siya rin po si Maria Clara sa sagisag ng babaeng Pilipina na mabait, maganda at tapat ngunit biktima ng pangapi po. Si Crispin at si Basilio naman po ay kumakatawan sa mga inosenteng biktima ng karahasan at kawalang katarungan. Si Padre Damaso at Padre Salve, larawan po naman sila ng mapapang-abusong prayle na ginagamit ang reliyon para sa narilang kapakanan. Pinapakita din dito sa nobela na ang kamangmangan at bulag na pagsunod po ang naging daan sa patuloy na pang-abuso ng mga Espanyol. Nais din po ni Rizal na mamulat ang mga Pilipino sa katotohanan at matutong ipaglaban ng katarungan, kalayaan at karapatan. Sa huli, ang nalimitang po ay nagsilbing muling pagising ng diwang makabayan ng mga Pilipino at naging inspirasyon sa pagkilos tungo sa kalayaan ng mga ating bansa.
The Spirit of Noli. Noli Me Tangere by Jose Rizal exposed the true condition of Filipino society under Spanish rule, showing how corruption among officials and priors lead to backwardness and lack of the progress. The novel serves as a truthful portrayal of the life of Filipinos, highlighting their struggles during that era. Through satire and parody, the character represents different sectors of society. Crisostomo Ibarra symbolized educated Filipino who aimed to uplift the nation through education. Padre Damaso reflects the corrupt and immoral priors of the time, while Maria Clara represents the ideal Filipina, loving, faithful, and loyal, patterned after Rizal's true love, Leonor Rivera. Ang sinasabi tungkol sa sulat na ito ni Rizal ay naglalayong gisingin ng kamalayan ng mga Pilipino sa panahon ng pamumuno ng mga Espanyol. Pinakita dito ni Rizal sa akdang ito ang tunay na kalagayan ng lipunan noon, ang katiwalian, pang-abuso ng kapangyarihan at kawalang katarungan ang naging dahilan ng paghihirap at pagkaatrasado ng bansa. Sa pamamagitan ng mga tauhan, inilarawan niya dito ang iba't ibang muka ng lipunang Pilipino. Si Crisostomo Ibarra ay sumisimbolo sa mga edukadong Pilipinong nagnanais ng pagbabago sa pamamagitan ng edukasyon. Si Padre Damaso naman ay naglalarawan ng mga tiwaling pari na nagiging instrumento ng pang-aapi. At si Maria Clara ay sagisag ng ideal na Pilipina, kagaya ng mainhin, tapat at mapagmahal, ngunit limitado ang kalayaan. Sa kabuuan, ang No Limit Tangere ay nagsilbing salamin ng lipunang Pilipino noong panahon ng kolonyalismo at isang makapangyarihang panawagan ni Rizal dito ay para sa pagkakaisa at katarungan at tunay na kalayaan.
Captain Tiago represents the rich people who obtained to be allies as tuta of Spanish official and priors just to preserve their wealth, the political position. Damaso raped Tiago wife Pia Alba, but the captain seemed to be okay with it. Pilosopo Tasio, on the other hand, symbolized those whose ideas were so advanced that many other people could not understand him. It is said that Tasio's character was patterned after that of Fascio, Jose's intelligent brother who also sought reforms. Elias Ibarra, mysterious friend and supporter, signifies the Filipinos who wishes to revolutionize the country by liberating it from Spanish tyranny.
Kapitan Tiago, siya yung mayaman na Pilipino na kumampi sa mga Kastila para manatili ang posisyon at yaman. Mas inuna niya yung sarili kaysa sa bayan kaya tinawag siyang parang tuta ng Kastila. Tapos si Padre Damaso ginasa si Pia Alba, asawa ni Kapitan Tiago. Ang masama pa hindi man lang kubilot si Tiago kasi mas mahalaga ang kanyang connection niya sa mga Kastila. Tapos si Piloso Potasio, siya yung matalino at malalim mag-isip. Pero madalas hindi niya maintindihan ng mga tao. Parang siya yung tipong taong advantage mag-isip. Kaya minsan nagpagkamalan siyang baliw. So si alias, siya yung kaibigan ni Ibarra, handang lumaban para sa kalayaan ng mga Pilipino o revolusyon. Siya yung gusto niyang baguhin ng sistema at palayain ng bansa mula sa mga Kastila.
Sisa and her son Crispin Basilio epitomize a Filipino family oppressed by the Spanish authorities. Daniel Victorina represents some ambitious Filipina who wanted to be classified as Spanish, hence the patting on of heavy makeup. Don Tiburcio, her husband, stands for incompetent and qualified Spaniards who legally practice their supposed profession in the Philippines.
Siya yung pari na may lihim na pagtingin o pagnanasa kay Maria Clara. Kung ngaray, mabait siya sa harap ng mga tao. Pero sa totoo, isa siya sa mga mapaninlang o masamang prili noong panahon ng Kastila. Tapos si Don Rafael Ibarra, tatay ni Cristomo Ibarra, isa siya mayamang Pilipino pero mabait at matulungin. Ipinapakita niya kahit mayaman, pwedeng maging makatarungan at may malasakit na sa kapwa.
Sisa and her son Crispin Basilio epitomize a Filipino family oppressed by the Spanish authorities. Daniel Victorina represents some ambitious Filipina who wanted to be classified as Spanish, hence the patting on heavy makeup. Don Tiburcio, her husband, stand-off, incompetent and unqualified Spaniard who legally practice their supposed profession in the Philippines.
Sisa, Crispin at Basilio, sila yung pamilyang Pilipino na pinahirapan at inahapi ng mga Kastila. Si Sisa ay simbolo ng mga ina nagsasakripisyo para sa mga anak, habang sina Crispin at Basilio naman ay kumakatawan sa mga batang biktima ng pang-aabuso noong panahon ng Kastila. Tapos si Doña Victoriana, siya yung babaeng gustong magmukhang Kastila kahit Pilipina. Lagi siyang makapalang makeup at nagpapanggap parang lang ituring na sosyal o mataas na antas na lipunan. Tapos si Don Tiburcio, asawa ni Doña Victoriana, isa siyang Kastilang walang kakayahan o kwalifikasyon na trabaho pero nakapasok pa rin sa oposisyon. Kumakatawan siya sa mga banyaga sinatala ang Pilipinas kahit hindi naman karapat-dapat.
The publication of No Limit Tangere provoked a powerful reaction in the Philippines. Spanish officials and friars, particularly those easily offended, were enraged by its content, viewing it as a direct attack on their authority. However, Rizal received strong support from friend and foreign allies such as Ferdinand Blumentritt and Dr. Miguel Moraita, who defended the novel's message. Even Rizal's former Jesuit teachers Father Federico Faura warned him that although the book told the truth, it could endanger his life. Before Rizal returned home, his family already felt the consequences of the novel's impact, as hinted in Paciano's coded letters about an approaching storm. Upon Rizal's return in 1887, Governor-General Emilio Terrero summoned him, acknowledging the controversy but finding nothing criminal in the book, though he still assigned a bodyguard for Rizal's safety. In contrast, religious authorities, including committees from the University of Santo Tomas and the Permanent Commission of Censorship led by Salvador Font, condemned the novel as heretical, impious, and subversive, calling for a complete ban on its circulation in the Philippines. Ang Noli Me Tangere ni Jose Rizal ay nagdulot ng malaking gulo. Noong inilabas ito, maraming Kastilang opisyal at pare ang nagalit dahil inilantad ng nobela ang mga maling ginagawa nila. Pero sinuportahan si Rizal ng ilang kaibigan, lalo na mula sa ibang bansa bago pa siya umuwi sa Pilipinas. Naramdaman na ng kanyang pamilya ang panganib dahil sa aklat. Pagdating niya, kinausap siya ng Gobernador General ng bagamat walang nakitang kasalanan sa nobela. Binigyan pa rin siya ng bantay para sa kaligtasan niya. Samantala, gusto ng simbahan na ipagbawal ang Noli dahil laban daw ito sa pamahalaan at simbahan sa kabuuan. Ang Noli Me Tangere ay nagmulat sa katotohanan pero nagdala rin ng panganib kay Rizal.
In Madrid, a newspaper article written by a Vicente Barrantes recently attacked the Noli. Similarly, some members of the Spanish Cortes belabored the novel through formal speeches, labeling it as anti-Catholic, Protestant, socialistic. Another attacker of Noli happened to be Rizal's namesake, Jose Rodriguez, an Augustinian priest who even took great pains to write 8 anti-Noli pamphlets which were forcibly sold to church goers. The arguments outlined in the pamphlets were nonetheless logical, addressed by an unexpected defender of the novel, the Filipino theologian and priest Vicente Garcia, writing under the pen name Justo de Cedrillo Magalang. The priest countered the claim that Noli's author was an ignorant man by saying that Rizal was a graduate of universities in Spain and was a recipient of scholastic honors by sound inference. Garcia also answered Rodriguez's claim that those who read the Noli committed a mortal sin by concluding that he, Rodriguez, therefore committed a mortal sin since he had read the novel too. Describing the effects of Noli, the author himself wrote, "My book made a lot of noise. Everywhere I am asked about it. They wanted to anathematize me, to excommunicate me because of it. I am considered a German spy, a Protestant, a Freemason, a sorcerer, a damned soul and evil." Noli Me Tangere by Rizal, 2013. After Noli Me Tangere was published, many criticized Rizal's work. Spanish officials and Vicente Barrantes called it anti-Catholic and socialistic. Priest Jose Rodriguez attacked it through 8 pamphlets. However, another priest, Vicente Garcia, under the name Justo de Cedrillo Magalang, defended Rizal, saying he was educated and that reading the book wasn't a sin. Rizal later said that the novel caused much controversy and people even accused him of being a spy and Protestant and evil. After Rizal's novel Noli Me Tangere was published, many people criticized it. Vicente Barrantes and some Spanish officials said it was anti-Catholic and socialistic. A priest named Jose Rodriguez also attacked the book and wrote 8 pamphlets against it. But another priest, Vicente Garcia, who used the name Justo de Cedrillo Magalang, defended Rizal. He said Rizal was not ignorant because he studied in well-known schools in Spain, and that if reading Noli was a sin, then Rodriguez also sinned because he read it too. Rizal later said that his book caused a lot of noise and that people called him a spy and Protestant and evil because of it.
The life and works of Rizal. Rizal was indeed a Freemason, but of course, not the rest of the allegations. In a letter to his friend, Pastor Ulmer, Rizal narrated enemies. Burn my books, friends bought them for a much as 50 pesos. Bookstore profited, but I got nothing. Rizal's letters to Ulmer, 2003. Noli, therefore, is a classic case of a black market, profiting much from an illegal product. The author once received a letter date February 15, 1888, which was comparable to a death threat. The sender wrote in part, if you think you have a grievance, then challenge us and we shall pick up the unlet, for we are not cowards like you, which is not to say that a hidden hand will not put an end to your life. Noli Me Tangere, ironically, the sender did not indicate his real name and just cowardly signed the letter a prayer. Makikita sa sipi na si Rizal talaga ay dumaan sa maraming hirap dahil sa mga sinulat niya. Lalo na sa Noli Me Tangere. Sa sulat niya kay Pastor Ulmer, sinabi niyang sinunog ng mga kaaway niya ang kanyang mga aklat. Pero yung mga kaibigan naman niya ay bumili pa rin ng kopya sa sobrang mahal. Umaabot pa raw ng 50 piso ang saklap, hindi man lang siya kumita. Kasi yung mga bookstore lang ang nakinabang. Parang naging black market item tuloy ang Noli. Bawal pero pinagkakaitan. Bukod pa rito, nakatanggap si Rizal ng sulat na may banta sa buhay niya. Sabi ng nagpadala, handa raw silang labanan siya. Pero may parinig din na baka may nakatagong kamay na pumatay sa kanya. Ang ironic kasi hindi man lang nagpakilala yung nagsulat. Isang praile lang ang pirma. Pinakita lang nito ang gaano ka duwag ang
mga kalaban ni Rizal na hindi kayang harapin siya ng diretsahan.
Rizal was indeed a Freemason, but of course not the rest of the allegations. In a letter to his friend Pastor Ulmer, Rizal narrated, "Enemies burn my books, friends bought them for as much as 50 pesos. Bookstore profited, but I got nothing." Rizal's letter to Ulmer. Noli, therefore, is a classic case of black market profiting much from an illegal product. The author once received a letter dated February 15, 1888, which was comparable to a death threat. The sender wrote in part, "If you think you have grievance, then challenge us, and we shall pick up the gauntlet. For we are not cowards like you," which is not to say that hidden hand will not put an end to your life. Ironically, the sender did not indicate his real name, just cowardly signed the letter a friar. Si Jose Rizal ay isang Freemason. Yung Freemason ay isang samahan o organization na at naakusahan si Jose Rizal ay siya daw ay rebelde. At yung mga praile, ginamit yun para siraan si Rizal. Dahil yung mga Freemason ay naturing kalaban ng mga praile. Dun sa liham kay Pastor Ulmer, ang nobela ni Jose Rizal na Noli Me Tangere ay pinagbawal sa simbahan at sa gobyerno ng Spain. At doon naging illegal yung libro at napunta sa black market. Yung mga kaibigan ni Rizal na bumili ng madaming kopya na halagang 50 pesos. Dahil yung 50 pesos ay mahalaga na yun noong panahon na yun para i-distribute. Yung mga praile ay nagutos sila na sunugin yung libro para mapigilan ang pagkalat. At yung mga bookstore ay kumita na mataas na presyo. Ito ay yung natawag na black market. Ngunit si Rizal ay wala siyang kinita. At noong February 15, 1888 ay nakatanggap ng liham si Rizal na nakalagay sa liham ay, "If you think you have grievance, then challenge us, and we shall pick up the gauntlet, for we are not cowards like you," which is not to say that hidden hand will not put an end to your life. At nang mabasa ni Rizal yung liham, walang pangalan na nakalagay at yung nakalagay ay a friar. Ang napakita sa liham ay malaki ang galit ng mga praile dun sa nobela na Noli na ginawa ni Jose Rizal.